Hello, my paper peeps. Today I want to share with you how I decorate my junk journal. But today it's all about 3D embellishments, where these 3D embellishments will be created in such a way that it won't add any more bulk to your already bulked up journal. And the one thing I've always loved to do is add embellishments because it just really jazzes up your scrapbook journals or your junk journals. And in this case, I love to add embellishments on the outside, especially the tops, because then it allows you to journal freely, add a little bit of ephemera in here without adding too much bulk, but then also having this bouquet, I guess, of goodies that embellish the top of your book and really act as foreshadowing for what's inside. So it is possible to add 3D embellishments without adding any more bulk to your journals. So let's get started. Now, today's embellishing technique is all about using Sculpey clay. If you don't know me, my name is Christine, and this is what I love to do. I love using clay to add interest to my scrapbook journals. And in this case, I'm going to be using the Sculpey Primo. There are several different clays out there, but I have found that the Primo is by far the best. I just love how it adds a lot of interest to my journals. Now, to show you how I create some 3D embellishments, I'm going to be using paper from this paper line. This is called the Pumpkin Patch Chronicles, and it has 3 tags that go along with this 3D embellishment. There's actually 6 tags, 3 of which you can just use on their own. And then you can see this one's a little off in color. That's because I don't know who put shiny paper in my printer. That was probably me. But anyways, there are 2 printables. One where you'll see the images here are centered. And then on this one, the images or the texts are actually lowered down on this page. And I've done that for a reason, because I really want to show you how I make and add these 3D embellishments to this journal. And if you're part of this journey, FYI, you're going to get this printable in your email. Okay, so let's get started. If you're interested in this paper line, I will put a link to this in the description box below. This is my own printable and my own little autumn journey that I'm going through this year. So come and join me. I'd love to have you join me, because guess what? I add stuff all the time. People who've joined me in the last few weeks have been like, oh gosh, like every week has been an email with some new printable added to the paper line. So it is quite exciting for myself as well as for my crafting community, because, you know, it's always fun to get something free in the mail. So here we go. Okay, these actually have back sides to them. It's just a muted vintage text, just in case you just want to use this as a tag inside the book. But if you're going to use it the way I'm going to use it, you'll probably want to double up. Actually, you'll need another sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to use this one here from the paper line, because I am going to be creating a paperless paper clip in order to create this. So, but for now, let's cut these up. Initially, I had said you needed this second page. That's only, I mean, you could cut this to this size, like this shape here, if you didn't want this on the back side of your tag. But either way, you can do it that way. Use one of the other pieces of paper from the paper line, or any paper, to be the back side. The bottom line is you actually have to have 2 of the same shape to create this. Today we're going to make pumpkins, because it's autumn and because the paper line has its general theme is really pumpkins, pretty much pumpkins and foliage all over the journal. I thought, you know, for a 3D element, a pumpkin would fit perfectly with this. I'm going to use the orange here. It's kind of like a burnt orange, which is fine. You can use just regular orange. I mean, gosh, there's so many different colors that fall brings, anywhere from, you know, your cream colors to, you know, even your blues and greens. Gosh, it's amazing what fall brings. So there's so many different types or different colors of orange out there. And I think this one is terracotta. So now I love using Sculpey in a lot of my crafting. So I do have like the full gamut of you know, things to cut it and shape it, but not necessary. You can just use, I mean, I have this bone folder here. You can use that to cut it. There's a lot of things you don't necessarily need all the tools. In this case, I can just, you realize I'm just gonna use my bone folder, and then just use some cling wrap. I have some extra. Just use some cling wrap to wrap that up. How much have I cut off here? I think I've cut off, it's about 1/2 inch actually. So I would say in this case, I would go, and then you can see there's already divisions here. We're going to start with with 1 inch or 1/2 inch. So it's 1/2 inch all the way around. We're gonna roll that up. Just gonna see what that looks like here. Yeah, we're gonna just do, again, you can see these are all 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch in thickness and in length. Okay, just gonna roll that up, and then we're just going to compress it just a bit like that. Now you can use anything really. You can use, you know, a dowel, a skewer, popsicle stick, anything that you can actually just create an indentation in the side of the pumpkin, it would be perfectly fine. So again, measuring that, you're looking at, yeah, it's like 1/2 inch still. And then all you're doing is doing this to it. So those indentations that we're trying to create on the side of the pumpkin, those are called ribs. I did not know that, but they're called ribs. So that's what you're trying to do here. Now, one of the things I recommend when you're doing this technique is using one of these straight head eye pins. No one really has these lying around unless you're a jewelry maker. In my jewelry making days, I would use these a lot. And so I have a lot lying around. Now, if you don't have that, you can use, you know, a pin like this. But FYI, make sure it doesn't have any plastic on it here. You'll probably want to use the sewing needles, I guess, that you have instead. But just to let you know, once you use it, you're not getting it back. It will be permanent. Now, my journal has quite a bit of, it's mostly browns, not a lot of greens and stuff. And so I think, you know, most of the pumpkins actually have these brown stems. And I think in keeping with that, I think we'll stick with the brown stems here. And so I'll take some of my brown Sculpey clay. You don't need that much really. Oops, I've gotten some orange in there. By the way, you can mix the colors. And you know, I got a little bit of orange in there. That's not a big deal. I'll leave it in there. So I'm gonna take some of this brown and I'm just going to roll that out. Trying to make sure it's quite narrow, but not too narrow, that it'll kind of break once you wrap it around this. So we'll wrap this around just like that. And I don't want it, it's a bit much. There we go, take some of that off. And we're going to kind of push that in like that. If you want just striations within a color, then don't overmix and then just, you know, and it really is kind of, see how you can just spin that around and then there's a perfect, you know, if you want just more of a marbling in there instead of you know, squishing and molding it, because that will actually blend the colors together. So there's an option there, but then I'm gonna just twist because I just want that marbling in there. Just like that. Now I'm making it so that you don't see the actual silver there, but that will be very hard to kind of get rid of. Let's make our ribs for the pumpkin. And you have to remember, every pumpkin is different. There's small pumpkins, there's round pumpkins, there's irregular, well, all pumpkins are irregular. No, there's no perfect pumpkin out there. And so you can make different kinds to put in your journal. Once I flattened it out, then I just pinch around the top, and that just pulls the top up just a bit so that the top is not very flat. I'm just mixing clays here. I'm like, I have some leftover that white and cream with the orange. Let's throw that in there. Twist, just like that. Twist some more. This one I feel like it's a bit too flat. So again, just pushing up on the top of the pumpkin. Just the top third of the pumpkin, just squishing that top part will give you a little bit more of a realistic look to the pumpkin. I forgot to do that initially. There we go. And then you can just go back in there and recreate those ribs. Now you bake these at 275 for 15 minutes for every 1/4 of an inch of thickness in clay. These are actually 1/2 an inch in thickness. These should be in there for about 1/2 an hour. Keep your scraps from all your digital downloads because you need these, and I use these all the time. I create these paper clipless tags, and what we're gonna do is take 2. I usually cut it down to 4 by 1 inch, but here, because these are quite large, like these are massive, we're gonna go 2 inches by 4 inches. The paper clip size that you want to use is this medium-sized ones. You'll see the smaller ones out there, and sometimes if you can get your hands on a larger one like that, this is more ideal for such a large tag like this. But I don't even know where I got these. These are less readily available to the general public. I'll check and see if you can order these online, but in general, you don't really want to go out and buy anything like that. You know, use what you have at home. And so I will use, and that's why I'm going to show you just using a regular medium paper clip in this tag is actually sufficient for the technique. So I've done this before, and I'm sure a lot of my crafting community has seen it, but I want to go through it one more time with you. All you have to do is take your paper clip and you place it on the paper. Now turning it around, you see you have a smaller side and then a larger side. You take the paper and you fold it over the smaller portion of the paper clip, just like that. And then you fold it over the other side. So that is what it should look like. Now what you do is you take the other piece of paper and you slide it underneath the other exposed part of that paper clip, which is the larger size. And then you fold that. And now you do not see the paper clip at all. And then what you do is you just adhere all this together. And I will use some double-sided adhesive tape here. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Christine, and I love creating DIY scrapbooks, DIY journals. And the one thing I love is adding all these 3-dimensional elements to it to kind of make it interactive, make it fun, make it very aesthetic and pleasing to the eye. So it's one of those things where, you know, you can look at it and come back to it year after year. And if you're interested in joining us in this journey, I will put a link to this paper line in the description box below. And any videos that I create for this paper line, I will put a link to that at the end of this video. Here is your paper clip-less tag. Now, it will go on the inside here, but there is another twist to this tag, and that is this area right here. This is where we are going to take, you can take a 1-inch punch or a 1 1/4 inch punch. I'm going to try a 1 1/4 inch punch here. I'm debating. Let me see here. Let's just see here. That will work, but I think it's too much. I'm going to try the 1-inch punch. Wish me luck. And you know, we'll try it on here just in case. Here is the 1-inch punch. I just want to see if it fits. Yeah, see, that would fit perfect in there. So we're going to use the 1-inch punch here. Find my center. What is this? This is, we're a little over 3.5 inches, then we're about 1 3/4 of an inch here. Right, that center. It's 1 3/4, so that's right there. Okay. Now I'm gonna punch that so that the center is here. The center of the circle is a little further down because you want to leave some room up here, and there's a reason for that. And you can see here I did both. Okay, I did that side and this side. Okay, so I did both here. Now, this is what the fun part is. We're going to open that up. We're going to place this in here first. I'm going to put the paper clip right up here because you want this sticking out of the top of the book. So we're going to place this right there. But we still need to leave some room here for the pumpkin. So we'll place this here. There we go. Now you got to make sure that you put it on right. So that's where you want this opening to be pointing down like that. Okay. Then we're going to take your little pumpkin. I don't know which one. If for some reason your little topper comes off, that's not a problem. You can always just place a little bit of glue down there. I'll probably put some Glossy Accents down there when I'm done. But for now, we're just going to hold this like that. And we're going to place some double-sided adhesive on the top. Oops. Double-sided adhesive down here. And let's glue that down. I'll just put some Glossy Accents. This is where you have to kind of like sit it up like that. And then one of the biggest things is make sure that you use a much longer, these are quite long. I think for some of them I used shorter ones, but the longer the needle head, don't use these small ones. The longer the better. So you need to get the 1.5 inch, at the very least 1.5 inch. If they're too long, you can always kind of snip them off, but yeah, the 1.5 inch there. And then, so you just do that. Holding that down, you pull that one and clip that onto there. Then you place another one of these on top to really secure it and get it down there. But this acts as your adhesion for your actual, the back side of the tag as well. And then we are going to tape that down. Just like that. So you just want to add more double-sided tape to this. There, and now you have a beautiful pumpkin addition to your journal. And I'm actually going to just a little bit more. Yeah, so there is your pumpkin. And you can use either Sculpey Glaze or even just Glossy Accents to add a little bit of gloss to that. And you'll see as time goes on, There's going to be a lot of stuff going on around here. So you want to make sure that it does, you know, it doesn't kind of cover up any of these. Like we'll have other things that'll just kind of stick out of the journal. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more tips and tricks on how to jazz up your scrapbook journals, or if you really want to be part of this process, again, here's this video here or series of videos that you might want to watch. And if you're interested in all the other techniques I use in a lot of my other journals that you might want to incorporate in your own journals, then you'll probably want to watch this playlist here that has a multitude of fun junk journal ideas that you can add to your journals. Enjoy the rest of your week and happy crafting. Take care and we'll see you in those other videos. Bye.